Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Buccaneers moving to the NFC title game in Tom Brady's first season in Tampa Bay, and pretty impressive feat in and of itself. Of course, I've seen the memes that I really have terrible friends. I have to say that because I get texts like this from people I haven't heard from in months. When you see the Tom Brady NFC Championship appearances in the last 24 years, 1, the Cowboys 0. Tom Brady's years in the NFC in the last 24 years, 1, and the Cowboys 24. So, like I said,
they have been there all 24.
They have been there all 24 years. That is it's not factually incorrect. It's funny,
it's the title games thing. Like I'd like to see a stat because Tom Brady now has two playoff wins. This would be his third in the NFC.
Yeah,
I don't know how many the Cowboys have in that stretch.
Well, let's hit some of the stats, Sean, because I've seen these are from various accounts. But this is his 14th conference title game in 19 healthy seasons as a starter.
By the way, how ridiculous would it have been to make a bet his rookie year, like some ludicrous bet that his number 12 was a lower number than the number of championship games he would play it.
Right. Like, from a guy that was drafted, in the sixth round?
Sixth round pick for Drew Bledsoe.
I mean, just it's unbelievable. It's
make that bet on his first drive.
Ridiculous.
Quadrillionaire.
The next closest quarterbacks for conference title games are 7.
Oh, it's absurd.
Steve Young, Joe Montana, Roger Staubach have been in 7. Tom Brady has been in 14. In 19 years as a healthy starter, he's missed 5 conference title games, not playoffs.
And one, I was gonna say, and he has another year where he probably would have been there had he not hurt himself.
Had his leg not exploded. Yeah, it's crazy.
We have a Flyers goal, 2-0 Flyers.
There you go. He has more playoff wins than all but 5 NFL franchises. Tom Brady, more playoff wins than 27 or all but 5. So there's all but 5 NFL franchises. So yeah, more than 27 franchises.
So 27 franchises
has less playoff
wins as a team in their history.
Now, granted, you have some teams, Brady. Texans, Panthers, Jaguars, but like
that's still because that's only like
a small portion of
maybe
teams.
10 teams,
right?
That you could be like, okay, well, they haven't been in the league very long,
right? Like the Lions, like I'm sure the Lions are one of those teams that he has more. The Lions have been around for 100 years.
Pardon my language.
It's okay.
Anytime you hear the Lions, it's like, oh God, you poor saps.
I just feel bad. For
what's amazing about Lions fans, and I'll say it Browns fans too. It's baffling because you just watch this and they're like, you could just give them away. And they're like, no, absolutely not. Like, I would die if I didn't get to watch them. And I'm like, you die when you do watch them.
What's that guy? Like, every minute. I've joked the last couple of seasons while I watch the Cowboys.
I die inside watching the Lions.
Where the Cowboys have like just squandered opportunities and made poor. And I'm like, man, like I would love to like for a couple of years to like adopt a team until like Jerry Jones isn't the owner, general manager anymore. And I had somebody go, well, you could be a Browns fan. I'm like, why would I go to another team where I know I'm going to be disappointed? If I'm going to leave my house.
Actually, if you're a Browns fan at this point, are you disappointed?
Somehow they still are, Sean. Somehow it's like Jets fans.
Like the Lions. Do you think the Lions are a disappointment to Lions fans? They win like 6 games. And the Lions are like, hey, we saw 6 wins this year.
Well, like somehow Browns fans think that every year is going to be different. Somehow Jets fans think that. But I'm like, if I'm going to leave my house, why am I going to?
Jets fans lie to themselves.
Why am I going to go to
no way you could possibly think.
Why am I going to go to a worse house than I live in if I'm going to leave my house?
I don't know. Maybe The View. I don't know.
The View ain't any better. The View's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Continuing on these stats, he is 1 win away if he wins this week, being his 10th Super Bowl. His 10th Super Bowl. 10. And if he would get to another one after that, it would be 11.
Well played.
Jake says Broncos are accepting applications. I mean, yeah. I mean, they've won Super Bowls.
Are nice.
They've won 2 Super Bowls more recently than my Cowboys have, so I can't even really make fun of them on that one. Tom Brady has beaten 18 different teams in the postseason. That's more than half the league. Like there's 32
18 different teams.
18 different.
Now that he's beaten 18 different teams, let's not forget that he played the whole thing in the AFC.
Right, he's played all but 1 year in the AFC.
So in the AFC, there are only
there's only 16 teams there. Yeah, he would have 15 opponents in the AFC. And think about the number of years they played
16, yeah, not 18. I'm good at math.
Right, but you would only have 15 opponents because you play for one of those teams.
So you got 15 possible opponents plus the teams you played in the Super Bowl. So you do most of his.
Think about the number of times we saw him against
he's one of the few people that
Colts,
more times than
the
not
Steelers,
is playing a playoff game against the other conference.
Yeah, and then they go here: 32 career playoff wins. The next closest quarterback has half of that at 16.
Who's the next closest?
I didn't. I'm
gonna assume Montana.
I would guess.
I could be wrong there. I mean, maybe it's a Bradshaw, but I don't think they played as many.
I mean,
games.
it's got to be somebody that
that's
is
pre-wild card.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be somebody that's been to and probably won numerous Super Bowls. So, I can only think Montana, Young, Aikman. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it quick here. But
with Aikman, if you don't remember the Super Bowl, did it actually happen? If you don't remember,
dude, I pulled up that Dan Patrick clip. That's absurd,
right?
When he was talking about the NFC title game, he didn't even remember.
Yeah, Troy Aikman got concussed. Basically, the story is, and Dan Patrick had it on his show. Troy Aikman was talking about the Pat Mahomes injury. And Troy Aikman was talking about an NFC title game that he played in, got concussed during the game. Still to this day, has no recollection of playing in that game. Doesn't remember a piece of it. He could watch it and would be surprised at the outcome, other than the fact he's seen the score and played in the Super Bowl. A week later, by the way, there was no bye week. So different era of the NFL for show.
All right, here we go. Playoff wins as a quarterback. Tom Brady, 32.
There it is.
Joe Montana, 16. Terry Bradshaw, John Elway, Peyton Manning, 14. Ben Roethlisberger. I keep
forgetting Peyton has that many.
Because he would always get to he would get to
title game,
the title game and play the Patriots,
and then got his one, and then put together a couple of shows.
He lost a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, but he got to a lot of AFC title games to lose to Brady.
You lose to Tom, yeah.
And same thing when he was in Denver, and then he lost a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl there. Roethlisberger and Favre have 13. Aikman, Staubach, Rodgers 11. 11. Flacco 10. Joe Flacco at 10.
Jesus,
that's kind of hard to believe. And then you start dipping down. Your buddy Kurt Warner with 9.
Stupid Kurt.
But yeah, so Montana is the second at 16. Then game-winning playoff drives 13, playoff losses 11.
11.
He has more.
11.
He has more game-winning playoff drives with 13 than he does with playoff losses.
11.
And then the final stat that I saw: playoff wins versus NFC opponents. Drew Brees, who has spent most of his career in the NFC, at least his successful portion of it, 8. Tom Brady now with 8.
With 8 what?
8 playoff wins versus NFC opponents.
Well, that makes sense.
6 Super Bowls, and now he's beating Washington and New Orleans. So now he would.
Yeah, and that's just baffling. It's baffling to believe. I mean, the 14 number is ludicrous enough. Like the number of AFC title game. Like I still remember, like, because like the percentage on that, it's 14 out of 19. Even at 14 out of 20 is 70%.
Right.
Like even if you take the year he was dead, 14 out of 20, 70%, or like 70%. I used to love that stat that like you look at like some of your best shooters in the NBA that like are averaging like 68% from the field.
Right.
Means that if every time they take a jump shot, it's statistically more likely that Tom Brady will play in the Super Bowl this year.
You're right.
Then you're going to make that shot. Statistically.
Jake here says, shout out to the Hershey Bears for creating Vitek Vanacek. Yeah, he's been, I know he's given up 4 tonight, but the Caps have not really helped him out tonight. He was spectacular in his NHL debut against Buffalo the other night. So he has 22 saves, but some of them have been absolutely incredible.
22 saves. Barely more than the number of title games Tom Brady's played in.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? The question comes up, and some people we got into it.
We got an empty net goal in Philadelphia, 3-0 Fly.
There you go.
So if you made that bet, good for you.
Good job.
Good job. Smart play, especially if you took the same bet yesterday and got hosed on it. Maybe made some of that back. Good job for those folks.
But, I've seen Jake says, good for you, Sean.
Day 1 and 2 in the history of my life betting on NHL hockey. It's excruciating.
Probably
the last 2 days.
But I've seen, I've seen people discuss it, the conversation, because like when I posted about just some of Brady's absurd numbers, of course, like then the question starts coming up of like best ever, is he the best ever? This is why he's not the best ever.
Yes.
And like, to me, yes. And because I don't usually like the best ever arguments, like whenever you talk about like, Gretzky Lemieux or LeBron Michael or Kobe and then you bring up like Brady versus Montana Marino. Like, to me, like I don't like him because the era's changed so much, and the argument against Brady as the best ever is that they're saying, well, obviously right now, and we've talked about it at times, is the league is set up to protect quarterbacks, and it's easier to play offense. So like, would Brady have survived getting hit as hard as he would? But like, in the same time, in today's NFL, the defensive schemes are a lot harder. The caliber of athlete that is playing in the NFL right now far exceeds what was playing when Joe Montana was quarterback. I mean, you had guys that like would go to the locker room and smoke cigarettes and cigars and drink beer like at halftime. So like, these guys now are like sleeping in hyperbolic chambers to make sure that they're like at 110%, this week versus next week. So like, yeah, it's the Caps and Pens going to overtime and to regulation in Pittsburgh. So like, and like Jay here says he played in both there. It's like, yeah, Brady came in.
That's a huge point.
Yeah,
Tom Brady started his career in an era that was very defensive.
Absolutely.
And it was very run, it was still a very run-friendly league. Mm-hmm. And it was a league that had a lot of high-caliber rushers. And
right, people forget he's been a starter for 20 years. Go back 20 years and look at the NFL.
Yeah, it's absurd. The number of differences now.
4 years removed from when the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl.
Elliott.
When it
nice
was
job, Brian Elliott. Shout out to Brian Elliott right now.
There you go.
Pitching a shutout in his first start of the year. Nice job, Moose.
But like 4 years removed from when it was really the Emmitt Smith show in Dallas, when it was
it was that show in the entire league.
Yeah.
The 90s, when you look at the 90s,
it was a running back
were
league.
a league that was the other way, where the rules were very in favor. Like, it was hard to get away with passing because guys were dying out there, and the rules were very friendly as far as
hit them.
what you were allowed to do in the running game. There was a lot of things that running backs were getting away with they can't now, and you just had these bell cows that would just carry the ball the entire time.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, a lot of your arguably, best running backs came out of that late 80s, early 90s era of just hammering the rock.
And I get people don't want to love Tom Brady. I get it. And we've gone over the stats. Chances are, for most NFL fans, regardless of what side of the league you're on, AFC, NFC, Tom's probably hurt you at some point. I'm a Cowboys fan. He has not hurt me because we have not made it to the Super Bowl.
You've never made it
in
to a
Tom Brady's era. The Cowboys have probably played very few games against Tom Brady, even in the regular season. They've never played him
for Dallas.
Played him in the playoffs. So the Tom's never hurt me. So I've never had to hate Tom.
And remember that Tom Brady hurt the Eagles with Donovan McNabb. But let's not forget that one of those failures, he may have cut us, but we came back and cut him.
You did.
And that's what really matters.
So it's
love him or hate him, it's hard to argue with anything.
To me, and to me, when he won his sixth Super Bowl, not even digging into some of these numbers that I didn't even know were out there, like Tom Brady when he hit number 6, because and not that I think that
he has as many Super Bowls as the best franchise.
Right. Pittsburgh has 6
Super Bowls.
Tom Brady has 6.
Which is why he's not going to stop till he has 7.
Exactly.
I think he's going to walk with more Super Bowls than any franchise has, and I think he knows it, and he can play enough years to probably pull it.
There's points this year, especially over the last month, where he has looked better than he has in the last few seasons, which is crazy.
Sure.
Like he's just heating up, and like rings aren't the only argument, because, and I always go go back to, like, if rings are the argument, then Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco are a better quarterback than Dan Marino and Jim Kelly, which just isn't true.
Rings are a good tiebreaker.
Right.
Like if you got a couple guys that
and especially once you start getting into multiples. But like winning one doesn't make you a great quarterback.
You're like,
But I can't and I guess Jake is not a Tom Brady guy. But like, to me, I don't think that there is an argument to be made.
Well,
God damn it. Penguins. Fuck.
Get out of here.
You gotta be shitting me. I hate the fucking team. But there's not an argument. There's not an argument to be made that Tom Brady isn't the best. There just isn't, to me.
Yeah, I mean, the only argument you're going to make is like in my opinion, from a game to game and a play to play, like.
Oh, Jake was rolling his eyes at your Eagles comment.
Right. Do I think that there are better field general like because if you ask me, I'm going to build, like, we're starting their careers. I'm going to build a franchise. We're going to pretend the NFL, doesn't already have these teams in place in the coaching side, and I got to pick like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. Like I still am a guy that thinks, like, if I'm putting somebody on the field for my franchise at his prime, I want Peyton Manning. Like I just do. I think I've never seen anybody with as much control and mastery of what defense. He put in so much work, and I'm not saying Tom doesn't, but Peyton, you could tell Tom knew what defenses, or Peyton knew what defenses were going to do before that defensive player knew it. And he would call audibles and make signals until you gave it away. If he didn't know what you were going to, he would make you tell him, and he would make you pay for it. I think Peyton Manning would make a phenomenal coach. I don't think he ever will, because I think he's entertaining. He can make way more money and have longevity doing broadcasting. But right now, the guy's made a fortune already. What's he need to do any of that for? But Peyton Manning just understands the game, and I see that the Marcus agreed with me there. Also agrees with me, Jake, on the field general period. But when you're talking all of that combined, because the bottom line is, field general or not, knowing the game or not, He didn't do it. Did he have as good a teams around him? Did he have as good a coaches? That's a whole separate discussion, but he didn't do it.
Right.
So, push came to shove. He was there. He was in the playoffs. Guess who was there and did better? Tom. So, do I think Tom is, even in the top 5 field generals of all time? I don't even know if he makes my top 5. It'd be close. But there's a lot of guys that didn't have the rings, and it's hard when you're talking about best QB ever to not include these numbers that we're talking about on this show. Tom, Tom equals GOAT, and I don't think it's close. I would put Tom in a category of like a Wayne Gretzky, where it's like, you can tell me all these other guys that you think played better at points or like, all these other things. And, obviously Mario had the cancer that came into play and cut his career short. Maybe it would have been a lot closer. But when you look at statistics and things, there's certain statistics that tip the scales for Gretzky, and there's certain ones that aren't even close in tipping them for Tom.
Yeah. All right. So
Nick Foles is like a close 2.
Oh, stop it.
Get distant 2.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?